Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome Ashley, welcome the Du Bois group, and we'll wait to see who else shows up on Zoom. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Village of New Paltz Zoning Board of Appeals for the meeting scheduled for Monday, November 7th in the year 2022. We've got a pretty full slate tonight. I think we'll get started on the adjournment for 123 Main Street. Ashley, is there anything you need to add on that before I continue with the request and adjournment from the board?
No, just that they're proceeding before the planning board to get an approval to remedy the violation. So that's why it's been getting adjourned by you.
Okay. Can I get a motion then from the board to adjourn the 123 Main Street application of the appeal of the interpretation of the building inspector for December 6th, next meeting? All in favor? Aye. Okay, so that's been so moved.
Is that December? I don't know that
yeah.
that date is correct. I think that's a planning board meeting date.
Okay, that's okay. I mean,
I think it would be
I'm
December,
even or the
the
7th.
following Tuesday.
I don't know if it's something to do on it. We'll do this again.
Yeah.
We're a little rusty. Is it for the 7th? It's the 13th. Okay, so can I get a motion then to adjourn 123 Main Street application to December 13th? Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's been so moved and that's been adjourned to December 13th, autumn for 123 Main Street. All righty. Let's go down to 65 Huguenot Street. Dina, are you present?
I am.
Okay, and is that your husband accompanying you?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
And we're in
we have-
Vermont.
yeah. Bring back some maple syrup.
All right, we will.
Okay, now refresh my memory. Is the public hearing open on that? Or is it?
You'll need
Unopened?
to
Can I
move
get-
to open it this evening.
Okay, we didn't open that on the last hearing? Okay. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing for 65 Huguenot Street? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anybody here who would like to speak one way or the other on the 65 Huguenot Street application? Anybody on Zoom?
I would like to speak.
You're the applicant.
Yes. May I speak?
Ashley, is that within protocol?
Yeah, I think
Not your-
first, if you want to, I mean, if the applicant wants to summarize for any of the public that's there, you can, or if you want to first hear from the public, and then you could review, the applicant will have an opportunity to speak after.
Yes.
Yeah,
If
I'm
he
gonna
wants to
close.
speak as part of the hearing, then that's fine.
Yeah, no, if nobody, the applicant will hold off just for a second. I'll wait to see if anybody wants to speak up on the public hearing. If nobody does, in another 20 seconds, I'm going to make a request a motion to close it. There's nobody here to do so. Just to make sure all protocol and proper procedure was followed, Autumn, and making sure signs were posted and whatnot, and advertisements put into the local periodical. Okay.
If you
I
want to
feel
let
good
the
about that.
applicant speak now, and that way you could just see if anyone else joins after, since they did want to speak.
Give them some more time? Sure. Go ahead, introduce yourself, please.
Okay, my name is Dina Du Bois, and I own the property 65 Huguenot Street that used to be the granary on my great-grandfather's farm. And when it was a granary, there was also a barn there, a horse barn. And that foundation for that barn still exists. And we want to put this little shed in the old barn foundation. And that's the purpose of this application. And I just wanted to tell you that. That's what it's all about.
And I would like to clarify that it is going inside the old foundation, not on the old foundation. And that the purpose of the setback is to allow us to place it in the middle of the old foundation. So the 8 feet that was mentioned in the prior application in 2019, that we would be going encroaching by 8 feet. It says in that application plus or minus, but we really want to center it in this old foundation. So it might be 8 feet, it might be 6 feet. It's the boundary is set by this stone foundation that we want to stay inside.
Okay. I'll open the board for questions. Joanna, I think you have a few.
No, I got no question.
You have no questions? Okay, I thought you were gonna ask them. What was the reasoning why the 2 years went by without any work being done and you've had to issue and make a request for another variance?
COVID.
Okay, well, got nothing to say about that.
Yeah.
And this application is exactly the same as the one that was requested in 2019 as I look at it?
No, because that was done by a contractor who was going to be involved, and I wrote this one up independently, where it says variance description on the bottom of page 1. He has written 8 feet plus or minus encroachment into rear yard setback, and I wrote placement of 10-foot 2 by 16-foot accessory building within existing stone foundation, partly inside boundary setback to a butter. So what I'm saying by this is it's going to be inside the foundation wherever that is.
Okay, I really don't want to see this other application, and because the first question I asked you guys when you were here, maybe it was a month ago or 2 meetings ago, was, are we talking apples to apples? And the answer was yes.
Okay,
So it's not really apples to apples.
well,
So now I need to ask you-
I'm happy to use the existing one from 2019 if you would like.
No,
What? You're unable, I mean, the foundation's there, you're unable to tell what the actual measurement is? I mean, if the foundation's there and we know the dimensions of the shed, and did the contractor come up with 8 foot because he did the math of centering the shed in the foundation, and we're looking at the same thing, just worded differently?
That's my impression, yes.
the problem with your request on this variance that we just got in front of us is you're not asking for what's the amount of the variance that you need. What is the variance specifically that you're requesting? You want to put a building in, that's great, but that's not what a variance is for. It's not for the building, it's for a setback and the amount of existing space that is going to be required that we don't allot under the ZBA current at the code as it's written. So
Right.
I need to know what is the amount of the variance that you're looking to do.
Well, 8 feet plus or minus is what he wrote in 2019, and that was approved previously.
So what is the side yard setback in our code? Do you guys remember? Or Ashley, do you know?
So it's short. So it's my understanding that the setback is 20 feet and they were requesting a variance of 8 feet to allow a rear yard setback of 12 feet. So if they continue as it's been presented, I did draft a decision based on those numbers. If they end up only encroaching 6 feet because they're going to move the shed, it's still, as long as it's less and they're not going any further into the setback, then
Are you moving, when you center it, are you moving it more towards the wall? Or are you moving it less towards the wall?
We are in Vermont, we are not there. The wall has not changed, the survey line hasn't changed. Our intention is to, this foundation is 20 feet wide. I believe that the existing foundation is 20 feet wide. I
get it. What we spoke about last month, pardon me, and what our attorney has drafted a resolution of the decision was if
Yes.
we go ahead and we adopt this resolution this evening, you're getting 8 feet to allow a rear, just to read it, I'll read it word for word. The minimum rear yard setback is 20 feet and the applicant is requesting a variance of 8 feet to allow a rear yard setback of 12 feet for the proposed shed. So we're giving you 8 feet. That's what
Okay.
your variance is here as it's written.
Well, we believe that would be adequate.
Is that acceptable to you? Okay. Then, without said, a few people showed up, I'm just gonna take a sidebar. We are discussing 65 Huguenot Street, and I currently have a public hearing open on that. Is any of the group that showed up would like to speak on that? Nobody's here for that. Okay. All right, so then the first thing is what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for 65 Huguenot Street.
Make a motion.
Second,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we went through, it must be. Guys, so it must have been in a direction to allow for this variant and out of a resolution, the decision. So I'm gonna make a motion to adopt this resolution. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah. As
Everybody
long as
okay?
it's as written, no problem.
Okay, we see no problem in granting your variance as it's written by our attorney. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna request to make a vote to adopt the resolution of decision for ZB 22-06 for 65 Huguenot Street.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Aye.
okay, can we do
And
a
can you just do a
roll?
vote by a roll call, please?
Yeah, I got you. Can we do a roll? Autumn, call me last, please. Are you, everybody feel comfortable voting?
Yeah.
If you abstain, it's fine. I don't know. Go on, Autumn.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chair Tony Terracino.
Yes. Okay, so that resolution of decision ZB 22-06 has been adopted and your variance has been granted. If you have any questions, I always recommend at this point that you stop in and see our building inspector. Okay, he's a great guy, so just going forward, whenever in doubt, if something goes beyond this, don't take it upon yourselves. Sit down with the building inspector. We've got this far into the game. It doesn't hurt us to go a little further if something should arise. Okay, to do it without us knowing is never a good thing.
Well, we have to go through the planning board next anyway, before we go to court.
Fair enough, fair enough. That's usually your next step, but you're good here. So I wish you a
Great.
good evening.
All right.
Enjoy Vermont. Go ski at Brommel, wherever you like up there, but thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's proceed down the agenda a little further. I can find where I put it. I apologize. I got so many papers here right now. I have it, and I just was reading it. It's Sean, did you steal my agenda? You
I
did
did not-
steal my
I
agenda.
did
I
not
don't
steal it.
believe you.
Maybe I did.
You did steal it.
Wait, no, I have 4 of them. So I
Okay,
stole everyone's. Here.
all right. Everybody's got an agenda in front of us. We go
I
down
got
to
4 agendas.
Okay, so we have 2 more items here in front of us. Let's talk, I'm gonna talk amongst the board real quick. We have 2 variances in front of us. 137 is probably going to be a longer, more drawn out discussion. Would we agree with that? Yeah, and how about the 60? So would you rather talk about the 64, 66?
Yeah,
You
sure.
want to grab that one first?
Sure.
I usually save the long ones for last. Is anybody here representing 64, 66 the Plains Road? Great. Would you like to come up? This is your first time in front of the board? First time this application is in front of the board? I haven't seen it before. Come on up there and why don't you tell us a little bit about it? Is that his time?
Yeah.
One share?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna look at his name. I don't know if this got up late because I didn't see this on the original. Oh, I did drive by. I did drive by your place about when you sent it out on them. I went by about a day and a half ago. It's a little bit further back. Am I correct? I was looking at the right thing? Yeah, I always drive out. We'll take a look at it. Okay, so go ahead and sit down, introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about what you got in front of us.
My name is Neil Collier. I'm an architect and a member of the Discovery Board. It owns the property. We're before the planning board for a 2-lot subdivision to carve out this half-acre lot here. This is an old dairy farm with a number of buildings that are used as dwellings. And in the process, do I have to face the camera here?
No, you're fine. Come on,
In the
talk to me.
process
Now, you're
of-
the architect and the owner, or,
I'm an agent. I happen to be an architect, so.
okay, you've got two hats on.
I'm sort of herding the cats.
So you and the owners, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and,
Okay.
here's some pictures if you want to pass those around. I didn't submit that. But in the process of
Yeah, it's back.
subdividing, we had to come down between this existing dwelling and an existing studio, which I think at one time was.
Why don't you come around here? This isn't Cooley's. I want you to show us on this map so the gang can see it here. That's all right. So why don't you walk us through on this map here? So
Yeah, so
here's
dwelling-
Plains Road. I'm driving up and down it. I'm looking back.
Right, so we're putting in a half-acre lot, it's carved out of a large piece. And in the process of drawing the lot line, we crossed an existing wall and slab that was actually
Exactly.
left over from a previous agricultural building. They used to be, connect.
Yeah.
And it was flagged as being a 0 lot line for the wall and the slab, because they go right up and right through the lot line, the
That's-
proposed lot line.
Yeah. Okay.
We argued that it was a wall, and the wall could be anywhere on a lot. Same thing, there's a little split rail fence on top, and the slab is not really a structure, but here we are. So we're asking for a 0 lot line for the wall and slab. And it's an old foundation wall. It's been falling down for 100 years. It's been
So
short.
you're gonna take it down?
Eventually, it's gonna come down.
So why not just take it down, then we don't have to do this meeting.
The slab will still be there.
No, no, an excavator could take that slab down, no
Well,
problem. Just get it in there
I
and,
think that's ultimately the plan, but it's like, it's gonna be in conjunction with the plan for the house, the access to the house. So,
Like, this is, I mean,
and it's an expense.
Very, yeah, and may I tell you who I am and add something?
And this is Nita Falcone.
Thank you. Thank you. Anita Falcone, and I am the treasurer on the board of the Discovery Institute. I am also the
Where's that
person, it's right where you were on, it's off of 64 Plains Road. It's right there, and then when you go on Da Vinci, you come all the way in the back, and that's where this house is. And I'm the person that wishes to purchase the house. So we have all been part of a group
Hi.
there.
hi, Tony.
hey,
This is Ed.
Yes, I'm sorry I'm late. I
Very well.
thought we were fourth on the agenda.
oh, no, we go in order.
Ed Kramer.
Yeah,
Oh, hi, Ed.
hi.
So we're all part
Are
of,
you the owner, Ed? What, are you looking to buy this property? Are you part of that? What's your role here?
I'm on the board of Discovery Institute.
What do they do,
So,
please?
so do you want to finish?
I would like to, thank you so much. So basically, it is to satisfy a debt that the school has. And I used to drive back and forth from Montgomery for about 16 years, and I would like to live there. So basically, we are working together as a group or volunteers to have this finished, to basically pay off the debt, and hopefully I'll get to live there.
And
So that's what's
one
going
other
on.
thing,
Yeah.
that the property will go back on the tax
Right,
rolls.
exactly.
So over the years, we've built a number of houses as pieces of the property were sold off. And the property for Discovery Institute has gotten smaller. And we have 6 houses on the tax rolls now that were originally part of Discovery Institute. And this would be the 7th. So to me, it seems like a win-win because of the fact that the village gets more tax
Revenue.
revenue.
Sure.
Anita gets her house And we get to pay off a debt, an outstanding debt that we've had over our heads for a
Right.
long time.
And I'm sorry, I didn't get your name on the end here. You asked a question about why not just take the wall
Yeah,
down?
why not take the
May
wall
I see that?
Sure.
It really is it's the expense, which I would have to do something about that, right,
How much
exactly.
is the house being sold to the Institute for?
We don't know yet.
Enough to cover
Cover the
the
debt,
debt.
at
for
least
sure, which is
$200,000.
$240,000.
Yeah,
Why not just put it on the open market and see what the market will pay for it?
Because we'd like to have Anita there. The people that have built houses around are all part or have been part of the Institute in the past. So it's a community that's sprung up of like-minded people that are interested in the same thing.
I was
Yeah.
curious about your line of questioning, like what is happening there?
Yeah, I
don't
hate
know
to
what
say,
it
I've
is,
been in
yeah.
the village for a long time and I don't know the Discovery Group. And I don't know if this is the forum to do so, but to help us, obviously this seems like a very worthwhile project. And it seems like everybody could do very well on it. Can you, in less than 100 words, can you just give us some of the, beside putting houses back on the tax roll, what is that you do?
Well, we're an educational group, Tony. We've been in existence for about 35 years now at that property. It was originally a chicken farm, I believe. We bought it. We renovated the barn that was there so we could use it as a venue for the events that we put on, such as poetry readings, special invitations of people. We had a dervish there. We have various people in the spiritual, in the realm of spiritual teaching that have been there. And basically, we're a spiritual group at heart that teaches ways to increase your attention and how to, once you have increased your attention, where to put it and how to use it in a way that you can develop yourself.
You got me focused.
I want to ask you more questions, but
And besides, you play better pickleball.
I do. I'm trying to be more. private about
contact
that.
though,
We're
give us
fine.
a call, definitely.
Are you a nonprofit?
Yes.
You are a nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay. So this is, I'll let the group, if they have any other questions, and I'll tell you how that works up here.
How, so I see you have house one and then I see you have house two and house three. Am I missing roads? Like I'm confused on how, like, do you park in the parking lot and walk over there? Is there like a, so everyone parks in this parking lot?
And there's
It's a very, at this point, it's a very loose, like I said, it's a collection of like-minded people. Some still affiliated with the school, some not.
Oh, so that's her parking spots?
Right.
And then how are these people getting access to the, to
They
wherever?
also use that and also park here and walk.
It's a little hard to see because there are some trees lined along there.
I'm
It's
just,
kind of pretty sheltered a little.
Have you been there?
I drive by all the variance requests that the applicants to take a look at them.
I mean, if you want, you can actually step on the property and go take a look at
There's a
this.
guy who came out with a shotgun. I was going,
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Was it Frank?
No, but I do drive by and I do examine it. And I do try to be unintrusive as I can.
Yeah.
I can take a look at it. But that's just something that I think that most of, all the board members generally at some point get out there.
yeah, we usually walk.
Did Neil tell you what the nature of that slab is?
Yeah.
Or the patio? Yeah,
Yeah, a little bit, how it's there.
it's 100 years old.
Kind of, yeah, it's kind of,
It's a foundation for a chicken coop.
yeah, a little antiquated.
Are
now.
there, is this part of any kind of bigger plan to divide farther, or is this just an independent?
This is basically to pay off the debt that we owe.
What, what's the shared septic is for all 6 houses?
No,
Well, this is.
It's for all 4 dwellings.
All 4
And-
dwellings?
Right, so
use
we
the
have a
same-
shared septic agreement, been reviewed by the village attorney, county health department, as well as DPW and the town engineer.
I've never seen that.
Nobody else had either.
Yeah. A lot of puns are coming to my mind, but I'm gonna not say them.
Oh.
So generally speaking, you would need a 15-foot side yard setback for for this, for any structure?
I think it's
Isn't it? for
12 and a half,
20,
isn't it?
20%?
Side yard is 12 and a half.
Sorry,
Or for side or
Yeah.
for rear?
What
I
the,
tried to tell what, I would really know what to call it.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's not really.
Yeah,
It's not a wall. It's
Yeah.
Not really a building.
is the shed that's in the property, is that like concreted in? Is that like a crazy structure? It's a 12 by 12 shed. Is it like permanent? This right here?
It's a very low log cabin on a skid. It's a
You didn't think of just moving it, and making a straight line?
But it's easier to move the line at this point.
You know, I'm just thinking of 200 years from now when the people have this property and they have very strange lot lines with shared septics and
Oh, it's very
And-
strange.
that's what I'm saying.
Not what, you know,
I'm not digging all the strangeness. I'm not that. So could you could get a driveway down this road? Or that you're never, is that your intention to get a driveway down here, or is that you're just gonna use the parking on the
Yeah.
eastway?
It's possible in theory, but it's not an intent.
You'll have a shared driveway, you'll continue
Right.
to use it for sure.
You have a shared driveway, shared septic,
And this is.
and a bump for shed you can, okay. And a retaining wall that's.
Yeah, the maintenance.
Right, our
There's a lot
problem-
of-
Yeah. I'm not-
Yeah.
So this is how this works. I will open this up for a public hearing. There'll be some guidelines that you'll need to follow. Make sure that the proper notifications have been mailed out to any periodicals or that certain notifications in your area to your neighbors are done. You'll come back next month, and if anybody would like to speak pro or con on this variance, the public has a right to do so. We would spend that time reviewing this over the next 30 days, and then once I close that public hearing, you'll get some more thoughts, give you thoughts on some more if you like, or expound on what you're talking about. We would then put this variance to a litmus test that we use, and we have 5 factors that we follow across. They're listed. I usually keep them on my phone. No one notices it, but you've answered them in your variance to start with. We will go in and delve into it a little deeper. And then we will, we will give you a direction to how we want that resolution to be drafted, whether it's pro or it's con. So you'll have a pretty good idea by the next meeting, okay, to which way we're leaning. And then, let's say if we vote pro, the second month after that, we would adopt that resolution. So that's your timing on this as we go.
I just want to say, especially to Mr. O'Sullivan,
Yeah.
that you're welcome to come by and have a look. Because it looks a lot different when you see it in person as opposed to when you see it on the page. There's a definite beauty to it all and a beautiful flow that you can't get from paper.
And that's another reason why it's a good practice or a good resolution to have someone who's been part of the group for many, many years. These are my neighbors. These are my
Yeah.
friends. So the weirdness that is there, I'm willing to take it on.
Yeah, but I'm not willing to make the person 100
Oh,
years
yeah.
from now have to deal with that.
No, I
weirdness.
understand.
That's-
Well,
that's-
we
our job
totally
is not
get
to
that.
help.
Right.
Our ruling stays with the property. So
Absolutely.
we're looking 200 years out. We're not looking at you because
Mhm.
all of us are going to be dead and then someone else is going to have to deal with this.
That's understandable. Yeah.
You know.
Any idea what the cost is to take that wall down? Have you quoted it?
Just to take it down around 25,000. Yes, but
Yeah,
that
that
doesn't
seems-
mean that, but it's expensive. These things are expensive.
You've got an actual quote?
I had
on
an
paper
an
that someone-
inspector there. Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
bring
an
that in?
engineer.
Can you bring that in?
Sure.
Thank
Yeah. that'd be-
If I could just jump in here too, so the variance I know is definitely needed for that concrete patio. There is a provision in the code that allows fences and walls to be located anywhere on a lot. So I don't believe the variance is actually needed for the wall. We could confirm that with Corey before the notices go out for the hearing, but I do believe it may just be for the concrete patio.
Okay.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see from the picture. It's actually better to drive over.
Yeah.
Take a look and you can see what it's like. You got it. It's a little hard to see from the, we have permission if the, I did not go on the property. I just looked at it from the road and it's pretty far back. A little hard to get a good look at it. Would it be okay if we went on the property and took a look
Sure,
at it?
sure. You can contact me or Anita.
I'm there,
Yeah.
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 Happy to come here.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to offer at this time? Okay. All right, so can I get a motion then to schedule a public hearing for our December 13th meeting for 64 Plains Road? Second? All in favor? Aye. Autumn, can we get that on the calendar? All right, guys, we'll see you back next
Just
meeting.
one
and,
more piece, if the board wanted to make a motion to classify this as type 2 under seeker.
Oh, yes. Can I get a motion to classify this as type 2 Sika?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Gotta remember to do that.
So then you
Sorry.
won't require any further
Yeah.
seeker review, and just so the board's aware, this is exempt from referral to the county under the village's agreement with the county planning board.
So no environmental impact. Pretty much. All righty, we'll see you next meeting, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right, it's good seeing you. Playing pickleball?
Oh, yeah, tomorrow.
The Zine, is it still at the Zine? Wednesday, okay. All right. Bye, guys. Okay. Did I bury my agenda? I might have. Okay, so we have another item on the agenda. We all good to go forward, guys? So this is the stuff. This was the,
That was the old one. We
yeah,
did that
that's the
one.
bomb. Let me get out. This is just this. Okay.
Yeah. And, oh no, this is.
What kind of roll? Yeah, if any of that stuff on the computer. Back here. 137, who's representing 137?
Myself, Nick Rimmer, for Trail Link LLC, and AJ Capola from Capola Associates
And that's,
Architect.
is that the gentleman on Zoom?
Yeah.
Is this other gentleman here with you as well?
He's here just for moral support.
Gotcha. Well, the public is allowed to attend. Okay, so let's get. Have your application. You have an actual application here? I thought I just had it. I just went through the actual.
You're talking for this one.
Yeah. Well, it's in here. He's got it in the book. He spiral binded it. That is so efficient. I might even keep this book. Show this to other applicants. This is how we have to get them.
170.
Okay.
Minimum.
This is what the building's gonna look like.
Something close to that, yes.
Has the planning board seen it?
They have. They sent us here.
Yes. That's how it happened. What is it?
What's it gonna, what is it, what's the difference gonna be from what we're looking at here?
Nothing proposed at the moment. We are speaking with the Historical Society as well, just for some feedback from them, although there is no requirement that they weigh in on it. But they did come out and do a site visit with us several weeks ago, along with the planning board. So we're gonna go in front of them just as a courtesy to see if they have any additional comments, but the planning board has not offered any further comments to the design of the building. So at the moment, this is the proposed look of the structure.
Okay, so why don't you take us through what the purpose of the structure is? And then you talk about always its benefit to the community, if there is one, and then why you need a 2-foot 4-inch variance.
Sure. AJ, do you want to take
Sure.
that?
Sure. So thank you, everybody. My name is AJ Capola. I'm the project architect. So I'll just briefly take you through what we're proposing for the construction of this building. So this is basically a proposed 3-story L-shaped building with parking behind the building. So the building kind of fronts on the street, and the storefronts, which are on the first floor, would be in close contact to the street. So what is being proposed, as I said, is a total of 44 residential units. Those are on the second and the third floor, and it's in approximately 13,000 square foot of office space. That is on the first floor. Some of the residential units are also on the first floor of the wing that extends away from New York State Route 32. So what we're proposing architecturally is basically what Nick is showing you in the rendering there. It's basically a mixture of a brick and concrete plank siding facade, 3 stories with basically a center cornice, which is the highest point. That is at 37 foot 4 inches. And then the flanking cornices go down slightly from there by just a couple feet. So we get a variation in the massing here, a variation in the heights, slight variation, so that we can break up the massing of the building accordingly. So what we're asking for, vertically is not really extensive. It's just basically kind of a bare bones of what we think a good mixed use building should have in terms of the vertical, the floor to ceiling heights. So what we're proposing is basically 12 foot from the first floor to the first floor to the underside of the second floor. So that quite likely would be dropped if you had an acoustical ceiling, but 12 foot would be the max on the first floor. So if you go into any commercial space, most of New Paltz, the first floor retail spaces are going to be much higher than that. So we wouldn't really want to propose anything lower than that. We think 12 foot would be high enough to be successful, but it's certainly not extravagant. And then the 2 residential floors above that are only 9 foot each. Again, that's from the floor to the ceiling, from the floor to the ceiling on the 3rd floor, and then we add the roof on top of that. So again, for a market rate, what we're proposing here is a market rate apartments. 9 foot is kind of I would call it kind of a bare bones minimum for a market rate apartment. You could have market rate apartments with 10 feet, 12 feet. That is not this. This is 9 feet. So we're being very mindful of the existing height requirements here, but proposing, we think, just the minimum to make this building a success. So that's 12 foot on the first floor, 9 foot on the upper 2 floors, and then allowing for the depth of the floor system, which would be between 20 inches and 24 inches deep. And then the look of the cornice, which we feel we like, that topping out at 37 foot 4 inches from the grade to the highest point of the building. So that's 2 foot 4 inches above the 35 inches that the code allows. It's honestly, it's kind of unusual to me that the zone allows 3 stories, but only at 35 feet. Typically, most residential zones would start at 35 feet, but not allow 3 stories. So to me, it's kind of a bit of disparity there of having the 35 foot, but allowing the 3 stories. So that's just based on my experience. So that's what we're proposing. We think this building is going to be a great looking building, and hopefully we're looking forward to your input tonight, and hopefully ultimately your approval. Thank you.
So what buildings in New Paltz have 12-foot ceilings downtown? Because I don't know one.
Well, if you walk in off Main
downtown, wait, I let you speak for a really long time.
Go ahead.
There's on Main Street, I don't think there's one building with a 12-foot ceiling downstairs. I can't, can you guys think of one?
I think the The computer store has a high ceiling with the jewelry store.
Yeah, it's unusual for a building in New Paltz to have a 12-foot ceiling in retail space. It would be the outlier. It's not normal.
Well, again, I'm not talking about the ceiling. It's from the floor to the underside of the structure. So the ceiling could be dropped to allow for HVAC or ductwork or whatever.
Yeah, but that's not normal for this area. This area had, the houses here are much older. That you would 13 feet, 12 feet, that's massive. I really can't think of much that's that big.
Well, I'll take it one better. I don't know if I agree with you, because it makes it seem like you're doing the village a favor by saying it's 12 feet and it's really not that aggressive. The bottom line is, if there's any building out there that's 12 feet on the first floor, it's done so because it didn't require a variance. So they were able to cathedral it or make it taller as they wanted to for a look, for a atmosphere when you walked in. They weren't asking to put it on a third floor. And you are correct, although third, for a 3-story building, 35 feet could seem kind of short, but you're doing a mixed use building. Okay, so you're putting commercial, you're doing it in that zoning district that it's going to require that. You're putting commercial down the bottom of it. So that's why it's going to be tight, because you want a higher ceiling there and you want to squeeze in the top. My question is, how many apartments are on the second floor and how many apartments are on the third floor?
I think 19 on each floor.
19. How many bedrooms?
I don't have the bedroom count in front of me. It's a mixture of 1s and 2s. Let me see if I can answer that question.
Okay. The amount of rent. Also, to squeeze this in, you're not gabling the roof. I'm here to protect the aesthetics of the village, and I can't speak for the planning board. You obviously, if you didn't need a variance, you could put any roof in that you want, but you're not gabling it. It's going to be a flat top roof, which again, I'm personally not a fan of. And I'm also, you're going to have to really convince me, because the reason for your variance is financially driven. Okay, we want to put a certain number of apartments on the third floor. Let's talk turkey here. So what you want to put in and what the village gets out of it. We're here to protect those interests.
Well,
So
we're not asking for a variance on the density here at all.
you're asking, but the height is requiring you, so allowing you to put in a third floor.
No, it's
You can't
not.
put
I can put in 3 stories here and conform. I
Okay,
can do
well,
that.
Yeah, then do that.
then you don't need us. I don't know if you'll rent the place. for the
We're
7.9.
proposing a nice looking building. If that's not something that you like, that's fine.
No, that's not what I said.
I have a couple of numbers, questions, and the first one should just be a number, and then the second one might be a little more meandering. What is the height from the cornice of the highest center point to the rest of the roof? Because really that's, you said a couple of feet. Do we have a dimension? I don't know if you're able to portray closer. So I'm wanting
I
to
don't have
know.
I don't have my CAD drawings open, so I can't give you an exact dimension. I would say it's within 18 to 24 inches. I mean, that would be my answer.
So that was my first question that I'd like to have an answer to at some point.
Yeah.
My next question is like, I read through all this, and I read, like, you guys went through like the secret and the whole thing. And I have to argue that this is self-created, because you're selling me preferences as necessities. We have a requirement of 11 foot for a commercial, and you're saying you have to do 12 to be able to sell it. And then I
didn't say that at all. I didn't say that at all. I'm the architect. I'm not a
to make it marketable. You said to make it feasible.
I didn't use that word. I said it would be preferable. I'm the architect.
Okay.
I'm not the realtor. I'm not selling it. I'm not leasing it.
Okay. So am I wrong to say that there are a large number of apartments in this area that have 8-foot ceilings? I know I'm not. I live in one, and 11 foot is our code. that's 3 foot that you guys are stretching this for your preferences. You're asking us for 2'4". I don't understand why this can't be
Done to code.
done the code without affecting anyone.
Well, it wouldn't be a nice building. I can tell you that. That's my opinion. I've been practicing
So
35
this-
years.
this is an
I've done a
opinion
lot of
of
mixed use buildings. You can do
So,
it
but-
as per your code. It's not gonna be as nice. That's
Okay,
my
but
opinion.
once again,
right.
self-created is my point. Is this?
How come, can you, I can't find a front elevation, which is what you're asking for us for you gave us a lot of paperwork. Is there a front elevation in this? So we can see the actual numbers? Because
I
that's
don't
the
know
only,
what the
the only
attorney.
drawing we need is the
prepared
front
with.
elevations.
It's A2 is the front elevation. It should have been included in your package. If it wasn't.
I'm not seeing a front
Yeah,
elevation
I-
at all. I'm seeing everything but a front elevation. Maybe I missed it.
Everything I looked through it and I couldn't find it either.
Yeah, it's 178 pages, and the most important thing on this is how tall is the building?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean,
So
if you don't
sheet
have a front
A2 is-
elevation, we shouldn't even be talking. I mean,
Sheet
I.
A2 is page 81 of the submission.
He doesn't even
I'm
know.
sorry?
Sheet A2 is page 81. If you want, I could share my screen.
No. We
I don't
have
know
those
that the pages are numbered in what you have before you, though.
Yeah, they're numbered differently in the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, so measure.
Okay.
There it is.
Very.
37.4, okay, so that's the overall height, so that's the height from where you.
There was a copy.
It's
Yeah.
included in Exhibit D.
Yeah, right here.
You have a copy of it in your packet.
So that ledge is 30, that's the ledge height.
So 12, 9, 20 inch.
How is this building not gonna be nicer?
Look, I'm just telling you my experience. 12
I'm
foot.
asking,
is the first floor.
slow down,
You want me
slow
to?
down. You made a statement, hold on. You made a statement that if you don't get the variance, the building is not going to be as nice. I'd like to have the question expounded upon what I asked, which is at 35 feet, what aesthetically is not going to be as nice from the outside of this building?
Well, nothing from the outside. It's the interior that's gonna be drastically different, okay?
Okay,
So there's
Well,
a
that's-
huge difference. Let me finish, if I could. Let me finish. There's a huge difference between an 8 and a 9-foot apartment
Cool.
ceiling. I mean, you know that. We haven't
Sure, yeah.
designed any 8-foot new apartments in 35 years.
well, then you don't rent it. Then don't make 3 stories. That's a self-created need. You don't need to do 3 stories. Or you can make the
You can make
commercial
one-
side not quite as tall if you wanted to. There's a lot of things you can
You
do.
make one tall, one short. Take 6 inches off of one, 6 off of another.
Honestly, it's the combination, because the way it's written in this, and I'm aware that you're not responsible for this. I'm just trying
Well,
to get.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask the board a question?
Yes, go ahead.
What is the purpose of a 35-foot overall height? If those height and we're required to do a first floor commercial space. What is the purpose of that if you're squeezing the interior heights? I mean, why was that? What is the intent of the code? I'm missing. I don't
Well, listen,
understand the intent of the
where,
code.
the zoning board, this board's role is not to determine the purpose of the code, it's to interpret it based on what it is and whether or not we want to grant a variance. I'm not here to get into the minds, let me finish, I'm not here to get into the minds of the people who wrote the code. Okay, if I did, if I knew it at that time and I had some information, we would tell you.
I mean, that seems like a mistake to me because typically a 3-story, you look at any municipality, 3 stories are usually 45 feet. Why is 3 stories in the village of New Paltz 35 feet? I mean,
I guess you can
you
talk
don't
to the
know.
people on Huguenot Street who maybe had something to say about that. The people who were here first.
I mean, they could have allowed.
That might be a question for
2.5
them.
stories,
I can't really tell you.
but you're responsible to enforce the zoning code, correct?
Part of what we have to do is look at this and in a way, play the devil's advocate to make sure we're not missing an angle of something that's in the best interest of our of the citizens.
And by the way, the building inspector enforces the zoning code. What we
I
do
understand that.
is determine
I
whether or
understand
not we should let you
I
operate
know, I
outside
know.
of that zoning code. Don't overtalk on my board.
I
Okay,
apologize.
wait till you finish.
I wish I was there. I apologize about that.
That's okay. All right. You have anything else you want to offer as we go?
Just, and I apologize because I don't have the information in front of me. There was a conversation about other buildings on Main Street, and obviously we're not on Main Street. This is the NBR district. It's a new district. I believe we're the first building under the new NBR district, because Zero Place was built before the NBR was enacted.
Yeah, they did not come up in front of the school.
Correct.
So
And I
Zero
just- I
Place
just
was
want-
built under the NBR, but there was a different height requirement in place at the time. It was amended after Zero Place received their approval.
I just wanted to ask, and just only for comparison of height of the first floor, and I apologize because I don't have the information in front of me. Does any member of the board, or Ashley, do you know the height of the first floor for Zero Place by chance?
I do not off the top of my head, but I do know that they had different height regulations in place at the time in the NBR when they received
Just
their.
for the commercial space, I'm
understand where you're
only
I
asking
would
just for,
imagine that it's 12 feet.
just for marketability and rentability. I'm just asking
Yeah.
for the purposes of,
Like I've kind of said quite a bit, and I just want to make sure that it's not, I don't necessarily have a problem with the height variance. I understand the aesthetic of a building and how to stretch that in. What I'm bothered about is that this is written to me like you're trying to sell me preferences as necessities.
understood.
Yes, this building would be more attractive and more useful and more valuable with 9-foot ceilings. Maybe that's true, but that's a preference. And it's reads in here like you're trying to tell me that it is an absolute requirement, and it's not. That's what I'm
Ashley,
worked up
do you
about.
know how tall Zero Place is? How tall is Zero
It's
Place?
higher than that, actually. It's like, yeah, it's 44.
And there's additional,
Yeah, but Zero Place is also the ugly building that made us change the laws.
right.
So you're
Yeah,
comparing
well-
yourself to that's like comparing, like, oh, we banned that, let's compare ourselves to that.
Right,
That's not-
he was not comparing.
Sean, I don't think we're trying to compare ourselves. I just want to, the only thing I'm trying to draw a conclusion about
The
is
first
first floor
I-
commercial.
I-
For the purposes of marketing space, when we say there aren't any buildings on Main Street that are 12 feet, granted, I agree with you, there maybe it's one. But in terms of marketing space,
Yeah.
there is one competitor on North Chestnut that has commercial space
Yeah.
that has similar, if not a higher first floor plan. And that is
So why is it
relevant to
higher?
as far as if I were a renter.
a commercial
Sure,
tenant.
why was it higher though?
Well, because at the time, the code was
That's
different.
right. So.
And the village board amended their code as a result of the fact that that building came out remarkably different than what I believe the village board intended the code to allow. What I think we're trying to articulate is yes, the village board may have made right steps in changing the code to not allow such a grandiose sized building to be built in an area where it had impact on the historic district of Huguenot Street. What we're suggesting and asking is there is some minor modification we are looking for to make these units more marketable and to make the project more feasible, because right now, construction costs have increased and skyrocketed.
So it's rents.
Right, so what this is really coming down to, guys, is simply this, and this is the truth, and we can weigh this out with the document. But you could do 2 stories and make a beautiful gable if we were interested in the true aesthetics of the town. We'd have a gable roof on there, not a flat top. Let me finish.
Sure.
So we know the benefits financially of going to a 3rd floor. Let's just state that out there. Let's not dress it up. That's why we're talking. And also, like you just said, it's maybe you use the word marketable, but you said a much nicer building. And when I said outside or inside, you said inside. Inside to me now is how easy can I rent it? And I can rent it easier with a higher ceiling than I can with a lower ceiling. So that's what this is. And that's fine. but for many years, people have come up in front of this board and this board allowed us to kind of not just put it out in the open. So with that said, I would like to know, what are the benefits that you're going to offer this village if we look closer at this variance? I want you to come here with benefits.
A couple of things for the project itself. One, obviously, we're going to meet the required threshold for affordable housing. Secondly,
How many
Look-
units are affordable and what's your rent level?
five units will be, minimum 5 units will be affordable in this project. 10%
You
is
should
the
mention
village.
that from the beginning, because that's what we're really.
I really feel
It's-
like because of this document, we started
Sure.
off on the wrong foot. So-
Okay, yeah, I mean, the
All
minute I walked in the door, you gave it 178 pages, you didn't fill out 6 questions, so I get it, yeah.
How many houses, how many apartments are gonna be affordable? Are they gonna be 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom?
There will be 5 units affordable pursuant to the requirements of the village, meets the 10% threshold. It will be a mix of 1 and 2s. I believe currently it's proposed to be 3 1s and 2 2s. They will be at 60%. That's what your village code requires for the affordability. We are looking at and discussing the possibility of additional affordable units, but we haven't pinned that down yet.
That would always go well over with this board if you had more affordable units in there to get what you need.
Understood. There's a second thing that we're not discussing. It is in our plan. If you get a chance to look through the site plan itself, we are proposing a public trail connection, an actual bridge, hence the name Trail Link, where there will be public access that will allow everyone to access the trail through the site. And also, we are proposing a green area, a green space on the property where the public and the residents will have the ability to congregate, picnic space, so on the property itself. We are reducing the lot coverage area of buildings from what was already there under the current configuration. AJ, do you know the
Yeah.
percentage? Was it about 17%? Shrinking,
The
I believe?
development coverage,
Yes.
let me see if I could tell you that. Yeah, the lot coverage required is 85%. What we're proposing is 47.6%.
What are you
That's
gonna do with
all.
the rest of the property?
The area that we're not going to have is going to be green space.
Green
And
grass.
they laid that out pretty well.
Yeah, I saw that, just wanted.
I did see all
Will be,
that,
picnic
but-
tables, benches, things along those
And
lines.
parking's in the back, right?
Parking's in the back with the exception of the parking that is not clearly shown on the rendering, but there will be the
Okay.
on-street space parking as asked for in the zone as well. So that will be provided as well. I don't know if you're familiar with or remember or not, but there is a crosswalk that runs there that obviously goes across
Yeah,
to
goes
the
across.
center and to the pool. That'll be integrated obviously into the site so folks can use that crosswalk and then obviously go ahead and access the trail connection through the
Did
property.
you guys recently buy this property or were you the group that knocked down the old building?
Scott Arnold and Justin Bowe bought the property. They're the owners of the property still. They are the ones that also took down the
Current building.
The
that was-
prior buildings,
current
yes.
footprint of the building, yeah, okay.
We looked at the possibility of using the existing footprint to not need to, have additional site disturbance, but it just did not work with, the layout and the foundation that was there would not support the building of this type.
We have a say in part aesthetics, but whether or not we want to grant a variance or not. Do we like the way this building is? We can make a note of it. What do you think?
I don't think it's particularly attractive, but
I know, it's not supposedly part of our discussion, but believe it or not, we tie any variance, we could tie the variance, to anything that we want to tie it.
Well, one thing I was thinking about when you asked the question of what are you gonna do for the community, I was thinking about public restrooms, which there's this whole notion of public commons and public good and what is, good for the community. And we have a community kitchen here, around this building. And we have our library and then we have, and so sometimes I think like, what about bathrooms? What do people do? Or for myself, like if I happen to have an office right not far from here, from this building site. And when I'm going for a run, I can stop at my office and use the restroom, but then I can like, what about other people?
Now, this may seem like we're negotiating something, but we could tie this into any one of the 5 factors. Like I say, does it improve the characteristic of the neighborhood? If you have something like that. So we could tie this in, and we want to use this board to help as much as possible make the aesthetics of this town and the benefit the residents of the community as much as possible. Whenever we let a builder come in here and want to make money, because that's what they want to do. So, and I understand that. This is a country is built on capitalism. But here's what I suggest. We're going to do a public, actually, Ashley, I didn't speak to the mayor on this project just yet. Are we good to schedule a public hearing so soon, or do we want to
So
adjourn
just
this?
2 things. First, I did want to just say that as far as conditions, this board does, as the zoning board, you could require certain things as conditions of any variance if they're related to the variance and they're necessary to mitigate adverse impacts of the variance. So related to the height aspect.
Well, we're going to tie it to the character of the neighborhood.
But
Go ahead.
as far as process, so this is before the planning board currently. The planning board is the lead agency under seeker. So you can schedule a public hearing, but you won't be able to give any decision until the planning board completes their seeker review. So I don't know whether there's anything you wanted to request alternate elevations or alternate, design elements. I know you're speaking about the design and the aesthetics. If there's anything you wanted to see from the applicant related to perhaps a feasible alternative or
Should
how.
I make a motion to have a public hearing just in case they get everything ahead of time, or are we, is this fast
So I
track?
think I don't foresee the planning board. I'm not sure. I know there were some things being submitted and some other outside consultants doing review. So I don't know that. But you could still have the public hearing, but I'm just wondering if there's anything else you want from the applicant before.
Well, no,
we
we
do so.
I can leave the public hearing open as long as we want. I mean, obviously you're going to come back next meeting. We'll talk more about what you can do. I'm only wondering, do we want to, I mean, if the planning board gets what it needs and jumps ahead, do we want to have a public hearing ready to go? We don't have to vote after the public speaks. We could dive more into this. It's a fact-finding mission. This is not something I think that you decide too quickly anyway. If you're I'm comfortable with, what do you guys think?
Honestly, I think it would be helpful at this point.
Yeah, why not? Okay. Can I get a motion then to schedule a public hearing for our next meeting, December 13th, for 135 North Chestnut? Second? All in favor? Aye. All right, so we have a public hearing set now, so you know what you need to do as far as getting out the word to the public and whatnot. Okay. I can only make suggestions. I have to stay focused on what the request is on the variance. I can't sit there and say I'm rejecting it because I don't like the building. But there are 5 factors that I use, and one of those factors is the character of the neighborhood.
Sure.
Okay, and does it affect it? Does that height affect it or not? Well, I could always say, well, I don't like the way the building looks, the taller it is, more I'm not gonna approve it. Because it's too tall and I don't like the way it looks.
You mentioned
Based on that.
a gable roof, and I don't mean to interrupt you, I apologize. And I was gonna ask this when you brought the gabled roof up earlier. And I might be wrong. I thought with a gabled roof, we actually could have a higher height of a building
Yeah, you could.
than the 35 foot even.
What you
It's
would
because
do-
we're asking for a flat roof that
Yeah.
35 is our,
It's a different
right,
code.
But you wouldn't be able to do 3 stories with it because you'd go above it anyway.
right.
So, but we're thinking of the aesthetics and the character of the neighborhood. And
Right,
You know,
the
we
car
have a-
wash, and we have Rycor, and we have,
yeah, I know it's there already. But they were there already. I can't tell what the business is going to be or what the building is, but our community is changing and new buildings are going up and
It's right on the rail trail. That-
we're getting
that
a
whole
lot. I
area
mean,
gonna
this
change.
is, I can't control what's been built, but I can look and have input on what does get built. So,
we did actually put some photos in there for you folks as well. In the back, I think in the section, we did a mock-up and we took a lift and we set a line on that lift as a 35-foot height. And then we put a 37.4 height on that lift. And we actually took photos from the north, south, east, west, including from the rail trail for you. So you could see kind of where that.
Where
line
are
out.
your, what's the heating system of this place gonna be?
These are going to be mini splits.
Where are the mini splits gonna be located?
They're going to be located on the roof and on the sides of the building.
So-
Correct, AJ?
That's correct, in the back, primarily.
In the back. All right, so we would like to see that. We'd like to see the renderings of that, or I would like to see the renderings of
Rendering
that.
is a mini split? I don't understand. What are you
That's-
asking?
Well, I have a
If you're gonna
question.
put the mini splits on on the building, I want to see what it looks like.
Well, you're not gonna see them on the roof. You're not gonna see them.
Are they gonna then be on top of, if you put them on top of the roof, are you gonna have clearance for them?
They're below the roof.
Yeah, we'll be
They're
fine
gonna
with
be below
that. I've done,
37 feet.
I've done, you know, I've done a lot of multiple families in my day. You're not gonna-
We should have that laid out. We had an issue with that already in a building on Main Street where they were putting air conditioning units on the roof and it actually extended the height of the roof and they wanted to come up for a variance. So will you be able to, can we get a picture of what the roof will look like from an aerial shot, just out of curiosity?
We have a roof plan. I don't know if it was submitted or not. I have a roof plan. Was that roof plan?
Will you be able to see these units from the roof?
There's no way you're gonna see the, there's absolutely
We've
no
seen
way.
them from the roof, yes.
No, from the, I'm sorry, from the ground.
No.
No, okay. You will not be able to see them, so they will not extend the height of the roof, you're telling me.
But we would probably want to have some condensing units in the rear.
Has that been counted and factored in?
Factored into what? I don't
The
understand.
height of the building?
No, we're talking about two different things. If I have 50 condensing units, we have 44 apartments, we're gonna have one per apartment plus common area. You're gonna end up with half of them, maybe 30 on the roof, but you wouldn't end up with all of them on the roof. You may end up with
That's
some
fine.
on the
Ashley-
ground in the back.
If the roof is 37 and a half and the condensing units go above the height of the roof, isn't that required as part of the?
No, you're looking at a
I'm
parapet.
asking my, hold on, I get you, no worries. I just want to ask my attorney, our attorney.
The
Ashley,
question is whether there's mechanical equipment on top of the roof that exceeds the 37.
yes,
I'm not sure if that, sometimes the way height is defined, sometimes certain elements don't count.
We will not exceed the 37. We will not exceed the height of the variance, the 37 floor.
so there's a well then as you get down over the ledge to the roof, you're telling me?
This is the parapet, so yes, it goes down behind the parapet, correct.
Okay,
And
yeah,
in the MBR, there are requirements to have all mechanical equipment screened when it's,
Okay.
so that it's not visible from the trail.
Not for residents,
No.
only for service for our people. It's not gonna have a rooftop deck or anything like the other project. We're not gonna have that.
I do appreciate getting more information and the last part was much more constructive here. But just as a revisit, if I could get that measurement of.
Sure,
the
sure.
Next time.
Yeah, no, we'll,
Because to me, this is a smaller section, so if a primary part of the building is
what we'll
lower.
do is we'll blow up the elevation in a larger format on a board like this with
Yeah.
actual measurements.
Because
Bigger
most of that
measurements.
building-
There are very small measurements on the drawing for you.
Because to me, it looks like most of that is probably close to
Right.
35.
Yes, with the exception of those, right, so it's not the entire structure.
As
Correct.
far as the visual line, we're.
I appreciate the job you folks have to do. I was the supervisor of the town of Ulster for 4 years, so I get it. This is not, so please don't misunderstand what we're trying to do here. I get it.
What measurements are being asked for? I couldn't hear that.
PJ, just they would like the elevation laid out a little bit more clearly for them so they see the difference in the topography of the roof. So we can show them what will be the separation and the heights.
But the individual roof lines of there's three
well-
different roof heights.
Yeah,
What?
I'll dimension, you're gonna see that on the elevation drawing, which
Okay.
I,
Yeah, that's essentially what I, as far as information from you guys, that's what I would require, please.
Got it.
Also, I'd like to see something about the roof parapet that he discussed, just how much room there is.
The parapet?
I also like to see the size of the condensers that are putting in. I want to know if it's going to
Okay.
extend the height of the building.
It's not. I'm telling you, it's not.
Okay.
It will not. I mean, I can
Well,
give you a roof plan. What is a roof plan gonna tell you? It's gonna show you my roof hatch. It's gonna show you my elevator, parapet.
So you're laying them flat? You got a lot of them on there.
But I mean, if we had the parapet dimensions and the dimensions of the units, then this isn't even.
Easy math,
Yeah.
got it.
then-
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get you those dimensions. That's
but-
not a problem.
I
Will you
mean,
bring a
that
sample?
plays into the.
Yeah. it goes with the
Scott's got
decision,
about
plus we would also
a
make
million
sure-
of them over
We
there.
would protect it though, because I would write that into the variance.
Yeah, you would.
I don't want to see them from the roof at all, from the ground, from,
Sure.
you know,
We'll
ground
also,
elevation.
we'll also get the, there's gonna be some solar on the roof. We'll get you that information too, because that will obviously.
Yeah.
If this
below
were
that as well.
something, I'm sure that we would write into it that nothing.
Nothing would exceed that.
To exceed
Yeah.
the roof line, but if this is at 37 and 37.4, then I'm assuming the lower line's around 35. If the parapet, you know, is 2-3 foot, you know, then we're dealing with these numbers again, where there's.
Right, understood.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, we can put that information together for you. That's not a
It's
problem.
true,
Thank
you would be able to possibly see some things that were,
Well, depending on what yeah,
right.
if,
depending on how
if they're
much-
behind the
Yeah.
central, you know, I just would like.
Yeah. That's a great
Pretty
point.
simple.
Okay, you have an idea about what are the things that we look for? Okay, when we look at your variance, there's 5 factors. Okay, whether it's self-created, the aesthetics of the community, environmental impact. Was there another way to do this? Okay, so there's factors that we all look at. Those are just 4 of them. You've actually filled them out in your application. You wrote C cover letter. This is really detailed and I appreciate it, but it's awful. I mean, I didn't get it till a couple days ago and we all have full-time jobs. I didn't look at it and read it. I'm going to do it over the next 30 days. But, you know, there's a saying, don't build me a grandfather's clock when all I want is the time of day. So there's some things here that are definitely what we need to look at to review this. And there's some things here that strike me as slightly extraneous when we have to make our determination. We're about the aesthetics of the building and protecting the villagers in our village. So that's the truth. And that's
Unless
what we
that
look
was a
at.
variance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, so.
So,
In this case, it's
yeah,
like.
you guys are good. You know, I'm worried about your portion.
Yeah.
You know, it's all good. You got so much.
It's a Corey issue. If it's not in front of you, it
You know,
doesn't
we
matter.
try to do what we can to protect the village. You can have a lot of great shrubbery put out there and they sell that building in 7 years and the guy who comes in doesn't take care of it. You know, so I can't, no, the rips it out, right? So, you know, the village is growing and I'd like to see some type of uniformity to beautify it, and we do what we can on this roll. So,
Understood.
Is there an economic argument to make for the height variance where there's a tax implication to the village that is lower, with lower roof height and?
Sure, I mean,
tax implications
if you
higher?
have less, two things, right? If you rent your apartments for less, then your assessor would have to value the property for less money.
Right.
If you lower it and say,
Yeah.
one of the suggestions that the chair had was make it a 2-story building. And you have one entire last floor, that's 22 less units that you're renting, and therefore it reduces your assessed value by 22 apartments. So yeah, there's always, the more money you can get to rent something, the higher assessment your assessor can place on
Right.
that. And I'm sure,
Yeah.
you know, Ms. Harris would tell you that if you ask
the
her.
more successful, the more we can practice.
Right.
But
And the
it's
more,
Sort of a leading question, right? Like,
the more someone rents something
Yeah, I get
for,
it.
the higher.
Like, there's people who tell me I should buy a house because you need the write-off, and I say, why do I want to pay $200,000 in interest for a write-off? Even though I get 33% of it back, I'm still losing $150,000. Sometimes that's the way it looks when we do taxes here too. So
Right.
I'm kind of always, I get it. When Noah asked for financial advantages to it, how about beyond tax? How
Yeah, I
about,
mean-
like you said, you got a rail trail going in, is it, you know, can we do?
I mean, those things, like I said, look, I think, you know, to go to AJ's point, apartments are not being built at 8 foot anymore. They're not. It's because we as a society want to give people more space. We're not trying to cram them into smaller boxes. Could we rent 8 foot ceiling apartments? Sure. Do we have a housing crisis right now in Ulster County, the Hudson Valley in New York State? Yeah. Could we fill them up? Yeah, absolutely. Does it make it feasible though? And when we say feasible, we mean from a bank standpoint. You know, we're gonna have to give these plans to banks. Banks are gonna look at these plans and they're gonna say, well, why are you building them at 8 foot? You're gonna have a tough time marketing. And that's gonna affect us. So it's not just like we want to charge people more money and get as much of this, you know, juice from the squeeze as we can. There are other factors that come into play that it's just not the standard anymore.
No,
I think
sure, I
that's
get
what AJ was trying to
And a lot,
explain.
and a lot of what I was trying to clarify after the fact is I don't even necessarily disagree with these things. Of course, there's benefits, but that's not what the way this was.
You know, it doesn't- what you just said is
did-
not in here.
Understood.
And-
And
It's not in
and look, if you have a legal,
We get
you
it
have a
all.
legal argument from our attorneys explaining to you their legal position of, you know,
Should get a.
5,000 words,
Should get a
right?
different attorney.
Yeah, well, I guess.
Wegman, Osterman, and Hanner,
I get my point.
This is awful.
listen, they're good, competent attorneys.
This is bad. This is the
They're good,
worst I've
competent-
seen
Well,
ever.
They're good, competent attorneys, but listen, the real world, the real life, the tangible. I mean, I spent 20 years of my life building affordable housing. AJ has too. So you're talking to guys that also, like, AJ's done a lot more than me. You're talking to guys that built affordable housing where we're trying to get as much in there as we can just to make the deals profitable for developers and so we can build stuff that the Division of Housing wants, right? I get it. I get where you're coming from.
This is a traffic study. Why is that in here?
I think they wanted to give you a complete submission of what
they
was given
should.
to the planning board.
There's a word that's come up in this town quite a bit, and what I'm kind of trying to protect, it's called gentrification.
Sure.
That's a scary word, all right, and buildings like this that come in and what we're talking about, and I understand what builders are trying to do, I understand about, I'm a landlord in town, I own properties in town, I know what it is to go and borrow money to build something, and what the challenges of that are, and what the challenges of it aren't, and the timing to get it done, that's also a factor. So I get all that, I get all that, but we want to know, it's better to come here and give us the financials, okay, than the flowery stuff. We want the financials, we want to know what we're looking at. It's a business decision. Okay, based on the variant, we make variances based on these business decisions and within these factors. I'm tied to those 5 factors, but I can tie them back to anything with a good argument. So we want to have an understanding before we even consider variances, what it means to the town, really means to the town. You're going to rent this still to come out, you know, also community college students are going to come down and look at it. I don't know. We want to try to have an understanding of that. Whatever we lay here today, we hope is permanent and lasts and benefits the village. All right, so listen, we have a public
One
hearing.
more thing, if the board is so inclined this evening, you can make a motion to refer the application to the Ulster County Planning Board.
Oh, they'll be the lead agency on it?
No, they have to do the review under general
Okay.
municipal law because they're located on a state road.
We
Can I-
need a separate one for that, Ashley, even though we're already there for
Yeah,
planning as well.
the planning board had to do their own and then the
Got it.
zoning board also.
No, you want, it's the planning board? What, I didn't hear what you said, Ashley. Which board is going to be
So
looking
it
at
would be a
what-
motion that you would make to refer the variance application to the Ulster County Planning Board.
Ulster County Planning Board, okay. Can I make a notion and refer this to the Ulster County Planning Board as the lead agent? They're not the lead agency, just for,
No, this
What
is
are
a
they gonna be
separate
doing?
review under general municipal law.
just under general municipal law? All right, can we get this referred to can I get a motion to refer this to the Ulster County Planning Board for general municipal law?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Okay, that's done. Is there anything environmental impact I need to look at, Ashley, for this? Any sequence?
No, you have to wait for the planning board as the lead agency
back.
to complete that
Okay.
part. If there's any
All right.
comments, this board has for the planning board, as to environmental impact as it relates to the variance, you could certainly
Does
relay
anybody wanna
those
put a comment
to
on
the
record?
board.
Yeah, you can put on a record right here if anybody has a comment for that.
No.
Okay, no comments there. So, again, I'm not asking you to change the design or anything like that. Obviously, we like options, we like additions, we like things that, you know what we like. Okay, to help facilitate things, and we want to talk communal here for the village as much as possible. Okay, obviously, something's going up there no matter what. So, you know, we really want to try to hammer this out and do the best we can for the people here and for you guys as well. I mean, we're not just all completely one-sided. Any of you guys live in the village? You live in the village. Good. So then you're impacted by this as well. So then we all have a stake.
Live in the
game.
village,
Okay.
own businesses in the village,
So we
absolutely.
all want to hang together, right? So we don't hang separate. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll
Thanks
see
a
you
lot.
next month.
Appreciate it.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Ash, I have a question for our attorney.
Sure.
I'd like to do it privately.
Well, you're
Is
gonna
this
ask
an
for-
attorney-client question?
Yes.
So then
Right.
first you should adjourn the meeting, and once everyone leaves and then Autumn shuts off the recording and the live stream, then we can,
Okay, all right.
Let's
but
do
there
this.
is someone else in the Zoom, so.
Well, hold on. Well, let's get the administrative stuff out of the way, then I'll close the meeting and we'll go into an executive session, right?
No, just,
And
you
then,
would close the meeting and then we would just have an attorney-client.
Okay. All right, did everybody get a chance to look at the August minutes? Oh, we have Noah here. Do we want to approve the June minutes too? Don't worry. Did we get them in the record? Oh, Noah came and we did that while she was here. Okay. All right, can I get a motion to approve the August minutes? Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It says August here.
October. Oh, this isn't even all right.
This is what I pronounced it.
Yeah.
It's all the same, just for some reason, okay, I've got August meetings we needed to approve. All right, strike that, reverse it. Can I get a motion to approve the October minutes from our last meeting?
Seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so that's done. Can I get a motion to close the meeting of November 7th, zoning board of appeals for the Village of New Paltz? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, is the Zoom closed? Are we clean?